I worked at the Ashe Street Courthouse from 1972 until the downtown center courthouse was opened, and I think that's 1987. I thought the building was, it was a post office, and you could tell that it had been a post office before it becoming a courthouse in the 1940s. But it was an awesome building. When the post office built a building, it was really a solid building, and that's why it's worth preserving. They had divided it obviously into a variety of courtrooms. Sessions Court was held there. The law court for Johnson City was held there, and then on the second floor was the Chancery courtrooms. In addition, the county clerk had an office where license plates were sold and marriage licenses were issued. I appeared in courtrooms at the Ashe Street Courthouse, both as an attorney in private practice and then later on as a sessions judge. So I have a variety of experiences. One of my experiences as a lawyer occurred when I was trying to get a divorce for a felon. Now, in those days, before no-fault divorce, you had to have character witnesses. And I told my client, I knew he was a felon, to bring a couple of character witnesses, which he did not do. Our case was being called by the court, and I was in a panic, and I went outside and I found two police officers who were waiting to testify in a criminal case in Sessions Court. And I said, I know you know this guy, will you testify that he is truthful? That was one of the requirements of the character witnesses. And they thought about it, and they said, yeah, we can do that, because whenever we arrest him, he tells the truth. He confesses that he's committed the crime. So we went to court. Judge Garland just asked him if he had a reputation for truthfulness, and both of those officers said yes. Another case I had after I became judge involved a rapper. And as I went into the courtroom, in the Sessions courtroom, the judge had to walk through the audience. The bailiff said to me, make sure you talk to the rapper. He wants to tell you something. And so I asked the clerk, I said, what's a rapper? And she says, well, it's got to do with music. And so when he came up before me, he said, Judge, he says, I know I'm guilty. He was charged with, I think, criminal trespassing. He said, but I'm a songwriter. I'm a singer-songwriter, and if you let me out of jail, I've got to go to Nashville. And I said, well, prove that to me that you're a singer-songwriter. So in the courtroom, he started dancing around and making some kind of rap noises, and then finally he broke into song, and he presented his song. The audience liked it, they clapped, and so I fined him $10, told him to get out of town and go to Nashville. Another case that I had that I thought was interesting was I had the first office inside the Ashe Street Courthouse, and at first I was a little irritated because everybody would pound on my door and ask for directions, how to get to Chancery Court, where to get their driver's licenses, or license for their cars, not their driver's license. And I finally got so, well, it's a good way to introduce myself to people because I have to run for election. One time, the clerk, the county clerk, who issued marriage licenses would send me couples that wanted to get married. And this nicely dressed couple, he in a military uniform, she in a very nice dress, said, Judge, we want to get married. I'm being sent to California for my first assignment, and they won't pay for our moving expenses unless we're married. So I married them. It was I had a little ceremony, and it was a normal marriage, and sent them on their way. Well, in about a half hour, they came back pounding on the door, and I opened the door, and I said, what's the matter? And the bride was crying. She said, I don't want to go to California. I've never left the area. I want a divorce. And I said, well, I can't give you a divorce. I don't have divorce authority, and I've turned in the marriage license. And one of the clerks, Catherine Rowe, whose husband we have a park in Jonesboro named for, and was a prominent politician and county commissioner, she said, Judge, let me handle this. And so she set them down in my office. I went back to hearing cases in Sessions Court, and when I came off the bench, I said to Catherine, what did you do? Because apparently the couple had left smiling, and she said, well, I told them that I had been married and some of the problems and the joys of being married, and I suggest to them, look, you're married, just get a motel room and spend the weekend getting to know each other, and if you decide that things won't work out, you come back to the courthouse Monday, and we will explain to you how to get a divorce. They never reappeared at the courthouse, so Catherine had given them the right advice, and I certainly appreciated their the clerks and what they did to help me. One last story that I remember, it really is about the Hill Street Blues, and a lot of people may not remember the Hill Street Blues, but it was a TV police program. Hill Street was where the precinct was, and the blues were, of course, the color of the uniform of the officers. And one afternoon, I saw one of the deputy sheriffs, and I said to him, I really don't think you're changing shifts right at the sheriff's department. He was a shift leader, and he said, well, Judge, what am I doing wrong? And I said, I've been watching the Hill Street Blues, and when they change shifts, they turn on their lights and turn on their siren, and they roar out of the precinct where they're at, and you never do that. He said, well, I could do it. I'll tell you this afternoon when I'm going to do it. And so I showed up, and sure enough, he took off with his lights and sirens on. So whenever I had a few moments in an afternoon and he was around about shift time, I'd said, we got to do the Hill Street Blues. And so he'd take off with his lights and siren. I have two major ideas for the Ashe Street Courthouse, and I'm really excited about seeing it put to a use that the public will appreciate. Just as an aside, right across from the Ashe Street Courthouse is the suffragette mural, and my wife has a nonprofit, Bramissima, that helped fund that particular mural. So it's a wonderful setting with the courthouse and the mural, and I think will attract a lot of attention. Now, I have two ideas. The first is for an arts center. I think we need a facility, and I know there's an arts center out at ETSU, but I think we need one in the community that's easily accessible, and that would be the case with the Ashe Street Courthouse. The other thing that I think would be a good fit would be the train museum. And I hope both groups work up some kind of proposals. I don't know if it could be a place that you could share the two uses, but those are my ideas for utilization of the Ashe Street Courthouse.